Hi, I'm Brian Hecht, and this is Humble Conviction. As an entrepreneur, I've exited 4 companies. Now, as an investor, I've invested in over 150 startups. I've mentored hundreds of founders, and I've coached more than 2,000 pitches. And everything I've learned along the way, we're going to be discussing here. We're going to be releasing videos here that help startup founders like you nail their investor pitches and get funded faster. This is the first video, so I'm going to go explain what we're doing here, how it's going to help you, and also why the hell is it called Humble Conviction. So as for me, I spent 5 years as a mentor and then 5 years as a partner at a tech accelerator, very early stage, called ERA. It stands for Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator, which is a really unwieldy name, which is why we call it ERA. And we invested in 15 companies in a cohort twice per year, invested $150,000. And even though the money is nice as an investment, the real value to the companies was the 16-week, really intensive program, almost like a boot camp that we put them through. We would cover every part of growing a business, from the the financial model and the decks to finding your customers, generating your first revenue, your product, everything you need. And hopefully at the end, you get funded. Now, for all of that stuff that we worked on with them, the thing that I always loved the most was the storytelling, was the pitching, helping founders tell why they're building, what they're building, and why it's so exciting. And the way we did that, the most exciting part was every Thursday at 5 p.m., we have pitch practice. And in that, each founder stands up and presents to 2 different VCs. They give their 30-second pitch. They get about 2 minutes of Q&A, not a lot. Then they get some brutally honest feedback. And at the end, I ask the investors, would you take a second meeting based on what you've heard? The reason for that is the whole goal of that kind of pitch is just to get a second meeting. Nobody's going to write a check based on a 5-minute interaction. So my favorite part about that whole experience was pitch practice, was helping founders pitch, was helping them tell their story. I would say all these little things, these little truisms. I would say things like, say what you have to say and then stop, to stop people from running on and boring people. And people would come to me and say, you should write a book with all of those. And a few months ago, I left ERA and I revisited that idea of maybe writing a book. And I talked to some people, I took some meetings, and then I thought, on the one hand, of course, I want to be able to share what I have experienced with a larger group of people. But writing a book is just such a slow motion way to do it. And nowadays, I don't even know if anyone reads those kinds of books. I mean, does a founder who's excited about starting a company, the first thing they say is, oh, I want to go read a book that some guy wrote 3 years ago? Probably not. So then I said, well, what do people do? They write Substacks, they write newsletters. So I sort of endeavored to write a newsletter, and I tried a few of them, and I have a newsletter, but in the end, it's kind of weird. Like, writing about talking is probably not best. And then I said, well, okay, so maybe we're talking about a podcast here. And I actually had a podcast, something totally different, news and comedy. And I did 180 episodes. And I said, I should be good at that. But then, I said, there's something missing from a podcast, and there needs to be video. And if you're going to be talking to founders, so much of it is about your physical presence. I said, well, obviously, YouTube is the place to do that. A guy my age, you can tell from my gray hair, being a YouTuber is maybe a little bit cringe. But when I think about it, I was investing in 30 companies at a time. And I said, why can't I reach 300 or 3,000, or why not 3 million? So, and I realized that the best way to do it was videos like this. So the content we'll be creating here is going to be a combination. And it's a little bit of an experiment. Hopefully you enjoy seeing the different types. I think the most exciting thing is having actual founders here in the studio doing their pitch, presenting their startup, kind of a combination of Shark Tank and Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. I want to hear the exciting ideas. I want to hear how they pitched it in the raw form. Maybe there'll be some critique and we'll workshop it. I'll sort of kick it down and then build it back up, and they'll emerge with something that's much better. And we might do some interviews and some explainers like this where I talk about some of the things I've learned along the way, but it's going to be super exciting. But I think the real magic of this channel, the sparkle, is going to come not when I'm talking to founders, but when I'm speaking with founders, which is why it's so important to me that I find the really great founders who can willing to come on and share their story, play their pitch, be critiqued constructively, and come out better for it. So if you know founders who you think would be good for this, or maybe you are that founder, leave the name in the comments below. Shouldn't be shy about it. Or you can reach me on any of the contact places in the video description for the channel. I'd love to hear from them. I love meeting founders, and some of them might be right. Why is this channel called Humble Conviction? It's kind of a crazy name. Well, to be a startup founder, you need to have crazy, stupid conviction. You need to believe that what you're building is more original, better, more appealing than anything that anyone has ever thought of building before. And of course, that's probably not true, and the odds are you're going to fail. And yet, you have to believe it. That has to be your North Star. And at the same time, you need to stay humble, because everything you think you know could be proven wrong tomorrow. You could build an amazing product, you put it on your webpage, you try to sell it, and nobody wants it, and it causes you to question everything you thought you knew. And when you're pitching, that humility has to come across, and you can't fake it. You have to inhabit that. It almost has to be in your DNA, that combination. So therefore, conviction that what you're doing is absolutely the thing. You threw away your life, you took money from your friends and family, it's the right thing, but also the humility to realize that you don't know everything. That's the path to success. That's why that's the name of this channel. So let's get going. Keep pitching, pitch strong, and stay humble.